Greetings, folks, and welcome to today's show. Unfortunately, this is probably going to be our last interview with our guest for today. He is Daryl Brady, who has been the executive director of the Tullahoma Area Economic Development Corporation for the last year and a half. And to everybody's sorrow, he's getting ready to leave. So, Daryl, you're leaving. Tell the folks how come and where you're headed and things like that.
Well, Tom, first of all, let me say it's been a real blessing to be here in Tullahoma. I have had a tremendous opportunity to come in and set up an economic development department. I have enjoyed it immensely. I've had a great board of directors to work for. Our city government, our mayor and our city manager have been enthusiastic supporters of economic development. So it has been a fantastic opportunity for me. It's been a blessing, but due to some family issues and some health issues with my parents, I'm going to be relocating back to East Tennessee, unfortunately. But I will look upon this time in Tullahoma as a great experience for me, and I can only hope that I've laid a good solid foundation for this newly created economic development program. It's been a joy to work here in Tullahoma and live here.
Well, and everybody has really been falling all over themselves to say what a good job you have done, and how much we've enjoyed working with you, and hate to see you go. So, well, and you got something else lined up in East Tennessee?
Tom, I was fortunate enough to have someone contact me and offer me a job back in my region or area where I came from, and so it's going to be not in economic development, but I'll be working for a nonprofit agency, something that I've done as well, and I'm going to look forward to that challenge as well. One of the things that's been a great positive for me, though, is that when you come into Tullahoma, the sign says a city as unique as its name. And that's something that I have grown to appreciate and understand, because Tullahoma is indeed very unique.
You mean it is accurate?
It is accurate. It is accurate. Tullahoma is a great city. And, the thing that really stands out is the community is so welcoming. And, very friendly folks. People make you feel welcome, and I felt like I was able to come up to speed very quickly because of all the assistance of our business leaders, our chamber, our city staff, our city manager. I mean, everybody just kind of pulling in the direction, because I think we all know during this economic time we all have to work together, and we all have to make a concerted effort to recruit retail and to recruit businesses to Tullahoma.
Yeah. Well, okay. Let's take a short commercial break, folks, and we'll talk to Daryl some more.
The highest standard of trust offers a sense of safety and comfort. It's established over time. You know when you see it. You know when you feel it. There's a standard of trust in healthcare. It's the Joint Commission Gold Seal of Approval. In 2003, Life Care Center of Tullahoma voluntarily achieved this accreditation and maintains it still today. Life Care, meeting a higher standard, because residents matter most.
Let the Smokehouse be your mountain getaway destination in beautiful Monteagle, Tennessee. Enjoy our cabins, restaurant, and old general store. Shop thesmokehouse.com, featuring homemade barbecue sauces, jellies, and many other fine Tennessee products. Our live Music on the Mountain series features some of the best local and Nashville talent every Friday and Saturday night, 6:30 p.m. No cover, kids welcome.
Today we're talking, folks, with Daryl Brady, who has been the executive director of the area economic development business, and unfortunately he's going to leave us. So we want to talk some about what's happened in the last year and a half, and maybe even some idea of where he thinks we ought to be going. So Daryl, in your position, when you come to a new location like this and you're responsible for economic development, there got to be some things that you look around and say, well, this is good, and we need to fix them over here. And and that whole thing, lots of things that you have to look at: culture, infrastructure, workforce, talents, and what is it we want to do. So, talk a little about that. What have you been working on for the last year and a half?
Well, you know, when you start off, every person always takes a look and a measurement and uses a SWOT analysis, which is strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You know, the good news is Tullahoma's got a lot of assets. Number one being it has a quality educated workforce. We have a top-notch school system. We have access to technology. We've got a good fiber system. We have good infrastructure. Our city's well managed financially. It's well managed from a city manager standpoint. So those things are all positives. We have a mayor who's enthusiastic about economic development. That's always key, because sometimes in communities, you know, if the local elected officials do not believe in growth or having progress in the community, it's an uphill battle. Yeah. Fortunately, that's not been the case here. Our mayor, Lane Carley, has been tremendously supportive. He's been outstanding and enthusiastic. He works hard to recruit more businesses coming in, and so does our chamber. I mean, it's a good effort. What we've been doing this past year, we came in, we looked at it and said, okay, what do we have? And we determined we've got a lot of assets in aviation and aerospace. We have a good medical presence. We've got fiber all across the city, which is an asset. We've got some technology in the community, and we have a quality educated workforce. So we kind of look at those things and we started targeting some areas. We also realized, you know, hey, we're the retail hub for this region, and we're the medical hub for this region. So we're trying to play upon that. We partnered with the shopping center group to get some demographics and some marketing materials that we could push out to retailers, and that effort is still ongoing, and that effort's going to continue. We feel like we've got some good materials to put in the hands of prospective national retailers.
Yeah, you had a meeting, I think, just this past week.
That's right.
In which the group you've been working with, have they been under contract?
Yes, they've been under contract, the shopping center group, and their job was to come in and help us compile all this data, make all these marketing materials. We had an opportunity this past Tuesday to invite everyone to City Hall and the business community, where there'd be real estate agents, bankers, local businesses, to come in and learn about, you know, who your customers are in Tullahoma, and not just within the city proper, but in the region. So it was a great presentation, a good learning experience. We've got NHC Healthcare coming on board out on Cedar Lane. That's going to be about a $10.75 million project. As you can see by construction going on, they're moving along very well.
Should be opening this summer, I would think.
Yes, that's right. We're getting close. It looks like, you know, probably over the next 2 or 3 years, that's going to be about 100 new jobs in the healthcare field. So that's a good asset to our community. Of course, you know, we've had Chick-fil-A come into the community as well. A couple of these projects were already underway from some of our local citizens who were doing a good job of picking up some things on their own and recruiting. And our job from a Tullahoma Area Economic Development Corporation was to help facilitate those and close them out. And we successfully did that on NHC, and I think that's going to be a good thing for our community.
Yeah, very good. I must admit, I was sort of amazed the other day. I thought I was sort of aware of what was going on and what was needed, but I was amazed at the quantity and variety of statistics that this outfit came up with, you know.
Oh.
The questions that somebody coming in looking at the community ask, you know, that may not be immediately answerable, but so they certainly have given us the data to be able to answer anybody. You say the workforce. What about the availability of the workforce? You think the workforce is qualified, and at least in the areas where that gives you a point of direction, some focus on where you want to go?
You know, there's a lot of site selectors or consultants. They'll come in and look at a variety of factors. They'll come in and look at test scores in your local school system. They'll come in and look at ACT scores, high school graduation rates. You know, all of those factors. How many people earn a bachelor's degree? You know, Tullahoma is blessed to have almost 25% of its citizens have a bachelor's degree or higher. You know, that's higher than the state average. It's an extremely positive number that we are constantly reminding prospective companies about, and you know, that's an asset. But we also have some good folks that can step into some jobs at the entry-level positions as well. So, you know, we're looking at the high school graduation rates. To have a good nursing program like at Motlow, you know, that's an asset. You know, the mechatronics program at Motlow College, that's an asset to our community. Most of the time, site consultants, when they contact us, they've already poured over so much data that you would be amazed, but you always have to be able to substantiate that or document that.
They've done a lot of homework or they wouldn't contact you to start with.
That's correct,
yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, very good. Well, and so you've come down to the point where there got to be some things that you know, when you sort through all this, there are some areas that you really want to focus now in terms of economic development, playing on what we already have.
Yeah.
You want to address that a little bit, and I think folks are probably interested in how we go about trying to implement that. You know, if we get an interest in something, how do we go ahead and decide how we're going to pursue these things?
Well, one of the things we want to do, Tom, is we want to increase our inventory. We want to make sure that we have enough available land or buildings that someone could be interested in. For example, we've got some land out at the airport that we are currently surveying. We're currently doing some engineering work on. We're going to be doing soil samples and core drilling, trying to determine to make sure that that's a viable piece of property. We were able to obtain a grant to get an industrial access road. So we're going to try to develop about 150 acres at the airport. We hope to target some aviation or aerospace related industries at that airport. In addition, we'll be looking for other opportunities down the road of available land. And also, if there are buildings that
that was, let's quantify that a little bit for us. My impression has been that in terms of readily available sites for someone to locate, if it's a new business coming in, that we might be somewhat limited in that respect.
We are limited. Our industrial park is pretty much full. There might be one or two vacant buildings out there, but everything's, you know, for the most part, it's full and it's leased up. Tullahoma could probably stand another couple hundred acres to have somewhere down the road as a long-term goal.
Yeah, I would think so. And I noticed, although they have the county industrial board sitting in their backyard, the Manchester folks have organized their own economic development operation in the last couple of years.
Yes.
So somebody's got to look at it. You've also, I think, and I know you had a lot of contacts that have been useful, but for somebody coming in your position, you got to make yourself known around the countryside, starting with our county industrial board.
Yes.
Who all have you had to get yourself, make sure that you knew them and they knew you?
Well, you know, the good news was, you know, as far as agencies like TVA and Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development, the good news is I'd already worked with many of those folks and knew them. Now, from a local level, had to get to know everyone over to the Coffee County Industrial Development Board, and they're doing an outstanding job. I've enjoyed a great working relationship with them.
That's good.
Bill Comer's the chairman of that board, does an outstanding job. Richard Culp and Ted Hackney's the executive director there. Roland Seagroves is one of our local board members, Jeff Fishman. So they've got some outstanding board members, and they've been a pleasure to work with. And we've actually been able to supply some data and help out when we're called upon to help them, even though we have totally different functions. You know, we're primarily retail and helping out entrepreneurs, helping them get their businesses started. Medical, we've done a medical project, but their focus is
surface kind of activities as opposed to factory work.
Yeah, we're kind of filling in the gap. I mean, they're strictly an industrial recruitment organization, whereas we're a little bit more diversified in that and playing to our strengths. You know, not just to be different, but to play to our strengths of what we feel like we can market, you know, how we can market Tullahoma.
All right, folks, we need to take a short commercial break, and we'll come back and go some more.
Who needs this modern world? I can live just fine out here without the road rage and boy bands. Of course, I might miss my Charter HD with football on ESPN and Walking Dead on AMC, ESPN and AMC. And, well, Shark Week on Discovery HD, but that's all. AMC, ESPN, Discovery, TBS, and Comedy Central HD, but that's it. Except for HBO HD.
Charter now has over 100 HD channels and more brilliant HD shows on demand than ever.
We're back, folks, and we're talking today with Daryl Brady, who is the Executive Director of the Tullahoma Area Economic Development Corporation, and will be in that position, I think, for a couple of days. Unfortunately, Daryl has found it necessary to go back near home, and we will miss him, and we're trying to give you an idea of what he's been up to over the last year and a half, and maybe a little feel for where we need to go from here. So, Daryl, let's start off. You talked about our assets earlier. Nobody likes to talk about that side, but there must be a liability or two out there somewhere, at least in terms of things that need fixing.
Yeah. Well, you know, every community's always got things to work on. We feel like we've started to work on those, started addressing those. One of the first things I think we all could agree on is some people, you know, say, well, we don't have an interstate, you know, but we have to look at it as, you know, what do we have? You know, we have to start thinking of our workforce, our technology capabilities. We've got those things in place. You know, I guess from the beginning, you know, we all realized, not just that I came in out of town, but everybody realized that we've got to have some more land. And I think that's why we turned our attention towards the property out at the airport to see if we could develop that property in a way that would not hinder the airport operations in any way, but be an opportunity to grow. And so, you know, it's kind of like the old saying, you know, you can't sell a lot of cars if you don't have any on the lot. Yeah. And in the economic development business, you've got to have a lot of cars to sell. And so we're addressing that. We're looking at other opportunities for some land. You know, hopefully.
I believe you indicated you thought that we really would be good to have another couple of 100 acres or something?
Yes, you know, almost every community, and you know, you probably should have under, and when we say have acres, we mean, you know, you have, they're under your control, not just you have an option on them. That's not really very productive, but at least, you know, everybody probably should have at least 200 to 300 acres that they could develop at any point in a given time. So, which is a challenge because, you know, we're surrounded, but, you know, we've got to be good stewards of what we've got and make the most of what we have. You know, the good news is we also, you know, we didn't have any policies in place as far as tax increment financing. So we've now got that in place. So that's something that we all felt like was something that we could do to help our chances of getting some more businesses.
That's being able to provide financing or at least credits against taxes and whatnot, a financial inducement to get somebody to come in.
Also, we're in the process of drafting language for a pilot program, which is a payment in lieu of taxes program. You know, in order for us to be competitive, you know, you have to have tools in the box, and we've put a couple tools in the box over these past 20 months, and we're fortunate to address those issues, and we're going to continue on. We're going to grow. Tullahoma's got some great opportunities ahead of it, and I believe strongly this is an outstanding community to locate in.
Okay, but we have badly needed somebody who woke up every morning with the job of trying to make that happen, and and I think that's something we can't really do without. One thing, there's been a lot of emphasis. I know the Chamber is spending a lot of time on it, and I think you have been interested also in retail development. You want to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah. We work in partnership with the Chamber. We both combine our efforts in order to give us a 1-2 punch. First thing we did was we partnered with a shopping center group because we didn't have any outstanding quantity of materials to present to a prospective retailer. We went on a recruiting trip to Atlanta to the International Council's shopping centers. This upcoming there's a national convention as well that Diane Bryant from the Chamber and another representative from the city will be attending. But those are some things that we've done. We're always constantly looking for some potential retailers to come in. We hosted a franchise forum back in the winter. We wanted to address the issue, say, is there some outstanding business owners out there who want to own their own franchise? So it's not just, there's company-owned stores, and then there's folks who want to come into town and have a franchise. So
yeah, you mentioned your class on, and that was really to, I guess, was it to teach the local folks really what's involved in franchising and how to go about it.
That's correct. Had a couple of speakers come in. We had a guy come in from Firehouse Subs. We had a former franchise owner of a McDonald's corporation who told his story about what it's like to own several McDonald's franchises and what to expect. We had a guy who owns the local Sears store talk about it. He owns one here and then in Shelbyville as well. And so, we had some people come in with some different perspectives and talk about, what's it like to be a franchisee? What are the steps that you go through? What are they looking for? What will be required of you? So those things are helpful to business owners in the community, and hopefully one day we're going to have some franchisees come out of that.
Well, yeah, and I was going to ask you. I don't know whether the final report is in or not. Whether there's general satisfaction with the franchising business as a means of setting up a business. It seems to be fairly successful.
It is fairly successful. Some of our most successful businesses here in the United States many of them have been franchisees, and they've grown their business, and what we need to do is identify some local people in our community who would like to do that, and provide some resources to them of where they can go for small business loans, and how to set up a corporation, whether it needs to be a partnership or a limited liability corporation. So the city provides resources for that. We have everything from a Get Smart Start guide that's provided by the state of Tennessee to a signed grant application from the city of Tullahoma. So all those things factor into it.
Yeah, okay. I'm sure that, when your replacement is hired, probably the very first thing he's going to do is pick up the phone and call Daryl and say, what should I be looking at over the foreseeable future? You want to tell us a little bit about what you're going to tell him?
Well, I think number one is we've got a great board of directors, and I think that's key. You got to have a board of directors who believe strongly in economic development, and they have to be committed. And it's a job that is they serve without any pay. They're 6-year terms. They meet very frequently, and I would tell the next person coming in is you got a great board of directors.
Yeah, and just to side comment, I have attended a lot of your meetings, and I think it's impressive that how well the board has been able to work together. You don't find any dissension developing there, so that's unfortunate. Okay, go ahead.
Also, we've got the support of our city government. We have a mayor who believes in economic development, and that's not always a given. I've worked in different communities, and I had one mayor tell me one time. He said, Daryl, I like things just the way they are.
Yeah.
And that's.
I'm sure we got a few of those folks in town.
Yeah, and that's not good, because you're either moving forward or you're going backwards.
Yeah.
There's no standing still. We've got a supportive mayor and board of aldermen. We've got a city manager who's supportive of economic development. He's been city administrator of the year in the state of Tennessee. Does a great job. Our city is well run. People look at that. We haven't had any findings in our audit, and prospective companies, they want to see how the local government runs. They want to see how the local school system is run. They want to see the quality of health care in the community. They want to look at the quality of the parks and recreation. What kind of quality of life do they have in that community?
Culture. Well, we could go on with this for some time, folks, but unfortunately we've run out of time. We're going to have to take a short break and we'll wrap up.
Mark, you've won just about everything there is to win in racing. What's next?
I'd like more people to know about ER Extra.
The emergency room at Harton Regional Medical Center?
I just want them to get the best care they can get.
That just gets me right here, Mark.
Maybe you'd like to pay them a visit.
ER Extra at Harton Regional Medical Center.
ER Extra. Extra fast, extra easy, extra great.
Get your news first, fast, and free with your news leader on 6 every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday nights at 6, 8, and 10 p.m. Local weather, sports, community calendar events, and a comprehensive look at the latest news stories and news makers as only a video news broadcast can do. Get it first, fast, and free with News Leader on Channel 6, your local information network.
We've been talking today, folks, with Daryl Brady, who's been the Executive Director of Economic Development in Tullahoma, and unfortunately he's leaving. Everybody's been very pleased with the work he's done, and we really hate to see him go. So, Daryl, is there something you'd like to say to the folks?
Well, first of all, I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity to work in Tullahoma, and I want to thank everyone for the kindness that they've shown me and my family. This has been a blessing to me to have the opportunity to work in Tullahoma. I've made some great friendships here. We've got an outstanding business community. We've got an outstanding mayor and board of aldermen. They've all been supportive, and I have appreciated their support. I've appreciated the opportunity to work for our board of directors, and this has just been a tremendous experience for me, and I regret that I'm going to be leaving, but I'm always going to look back at Tullahoma with a fondness and appreciation, and Tullahoma is always going to have a special place in my heart. And they told me that when I got here, and it's absolutely true. So.
Okay, very good. Well, we need to make sure that the guy who follows you is going to get the same reception. Yeah. Well, with that, folks, thanks for joining us. Thank Daryl to start with, not only for his service, but for taking this time, and he doesn't have much left, to share his ideas with us. And thank you for inviting us into your home, and we'll see you next time.